Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show. And I am so happy to announce and present your host, your favorite host, Dr. Cherilyn Lee.
And thank you so much. And my co-host today, the one and only PR person of public relations, is Belinda Foster. Thank you so much, Belinda Foster, for being here today. We have an exciting guest, and Belinda's going to share a little bit about our wonderful guest, and then we're going to jump right into this topic because I spoke to Dr. Gordon, and it's just phenomenal, some research information that's coming about. So go ahead and introduce our wonderful guest.
Well, we are so happy and honored to have with us today a gentleman who is revered in the entire industry of health and wellness, Dr. Garry F. Gordon. He's a biochemist, and he is the president of the Gordon Research Institute. Welcome, Dr. Gordon.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you.
And Dr. Gordon carries so many more titles, but you can Google his name and you'll find page after page. He's just a phenomenal person and a phenomenal human being, and I'm just so grateful to and honored to know you, Dr. Gordon.
Thank you, the feeling is mutual, Dr. Lee.
Thank you so much. And our topic today is cancer as a metabolic disease. So we're going to jump right into that and start talking about what is a metabolic disease in the first place.
Well, normally you think of a metabolic disease would be gout or diabetes or high cholesterol when the metabolism of the body is not working efficiently. But it's so important to wake up all of our friends and our families and the nation to the fact that Dr. Thomas Seaforth has written this book called Cancer is a Metabolic Disease, and he has 2,000 references that prove to you, if you read it, that you're wasting your money and your time when you're doing chemo and radiation because they're doing the wrong treatment. They didn't understand what's really wrong. Think about it. Right now they play a game and they say, oh, we got here in time. If we do enough surgery, we can cut your entire tumor out, and you go on with your life and you never change your diet. You don't start to exercise. You don't start smoking. You don't go to bed earlier. You don't do anything because they cured your cancer by cutting. And the problem is that when you call it a metabolic disease, you have moved it from being a local disease that a knife can cure into a systemic disease that requires you to find an enlightened doctor that will help you understand why sugar can help feed cancer and why the mercury in your mouth can help kill your immune system so your body doesn't kill the cancer cells that we all have in our body every day. But there's a level of cancer that is acceptable and there's a level that's not acceptable, and we proved that we developed a test over 10 years ago, and it's now available in various forms in the United States and in Greece and in Korea and Germany. We developed a test that tells you exactly how much cancer is in your body without having to check your breast every day or go and have a doctor and put his finger in the rectum and feel the prostate or take an x-ray of your lungs today. We don't have to do that. I like doing colonoscopy. It's good, but the point is we have a test that actually tells you in time. And what is the point? When it's in time, it means that we change your diet, lower your stress, make you stop smoking, make you start walking around the block, learn how to detox, learn the value that you've got to be on supplements every day of your life. You cannot reach your maximum intended useful lifespan, which for all of us we're now finding is at least 100 years of age. You will not reach that feeling good and being active as I am at age 78.
And you look wonderful.
Omega-3 and vitamin C. And so we have things we have to teach you, and only by teaching you that cancer is a metabolic disease do you get rid of this ridiculous idea that all you have to do is lay on the table and let them radiate you because the radiation is going to cure the cancer and give you chemo so your hair falls out. What total, utter nonsense when you have a accomplished cancer researcher at Boston University. And Dr. Thomas Seaforth's book, Cancer is a Metabolic Disease, has the necessary references to empower you to fire your oncologist if he doesn't choose to wake up. Because the point is this. Right now, for any cancer you have, they open a book and they say, oh, you've got breast cancer, well, we use Avastin, or we use this, or we use that. That's got nothing to do with keeping you alive.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
We can actually provably measure and grow your tumor in a laboratory, and we can tell you exactly which treatments do work. So it's a new age that we're in.
Yes. And, I want people to know so they can go and, look for this information themselves. And there is a book by Dr. Thomas. His last name is spelled S as in Sam, E as in Eddie, Y, F as in Frank, RIED, PhD. You have to read this material. I mean, every day, Dr. Gordon, every single day I have calls of someone themselves or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer. Every day. It's a pandemic.
Well, bottom line, the fact is that it is the leading cause of death in much of the world, and for a long time, cardiovascular disease. And as the father of chelation, you need to know I've had none of my patients die of a heart attack in 20 years since we developed the oral chelation. So cancer is kind of the new frontier for me, because heart disease doesn't exist for my patients. None of them embarrassed me by dying of a heart attack in over 20 years by simply taking oral chelation. So that's why cancer is so important to me, because cancer can bankrupt our nation.
Yes.
And if you look at the data, it is sickening. If they spend $100,000 on your chemo and your radiation, and you look at the data, guess what? At the end of 5 years, only 2.3% of cancer patients who walk in to a doctor's office with their cancer already having started in a second location, that's called metastatic disease, only 2.3% are alive after 5 years. If you see an alternative doctor, and we alternative doctors are not perfect, we don't have 100% cure rates, because
right.
We love the 100% cure rate when I catch you before the lump and bump, then we have 100% cure rates.
Exactly.
But otherwise, we can tell you data proven that we can beat anything mainstream, whether it's Johns Hopkins, who I adore and I love, the best medical, we love what they do, but we have to beat them. So if they're 2.3%, our worst figures are 37%. 5 years survival with really advanced cancer. But let's get away from advanced cancer. Let's just have all your audience realize that we are designed to live to 100 plus years and carry out what we're on earth to do, and we're entitled to not have to die of heart disease or cancer, but we have to give your listeners good information.
Exactly.
And I'm so thankful that you said go and search GordonResearch.com. It's easy. My website has hour after hour of webinars with all of the references, and I have served on the board of alternative homeopathic integrative medicine for 9 years here in Arizona. I'm well known, and I can be quoted anywhere, and I'll take on any doctor that wants to disagree, because I have practiced medicine 54 years, and I had to rebuild my body because I was born sick. And at age 78, everybody wishes they're as healthy as I am. I've rebuilt my body, and I want everybody to realize that our bodies are a magnificent temple. If we just had received an owner's manual, but we come naked in this world, we're screaming, and they don't give us the owner's manual.
That's so true. And after saying that, I just assist. I felt like I gave birth myself in my 9th grandchild this weekend. I think I'm more tired than she is. I doubt that, but so we definitely come naked into this world. It's too bad we're not given one, and that's the main thing. The premise of what we do here: the sugar, the mercury, the amalgams, the this, the that. You have to dress everything, every layer. And so, as we go through this, and I just want to say for our listening audience, if you have any questions and you want to call in, the number is 310-928-7733. And if you would like to email us, if you're sitting at your desk at work or somewhere, and you'd like to email us a question, you can email us at innerlightradio@yahoo.com. That's INNER, light, LIGHT, radio@yahoo.com. We should be getting tons. We do have a lot of questions that we're going to be asking Dr. Gordon, because I'm telling you, it's been overwhelming. I mean, I have 4 people today after the show, and I'm closed today to talk to that are newly callers from yesterday, with family members with prostate and bone cancer, you name it. It's just so sad. And so I want us to get into the blood testing too. Now, I do one here, but I want to hear about what you're doing now.
Well, we have a website. It's called caprofile.net. CA stands for cancer, profile.net, and that test runs around $400, and it is in Hollywood, Florida, in the laboratory is called American Metabolic Testing Laboratories. Emil Shandell has designed that test for several years because that test does the ultrasensitive HCG accurately, and I emphasize because we recently had somebody have it done at the Mayo Clinic and it came back negative. He did it correctly and it came back positive. So it's the difference in life and death having a laboratory that specializes in this kind of data. And then he also measures the PHI. Now, that test tells me instantly that you have some anaerobic metabolism in your body. What does that mean, anaerobic? That means some part of your body, I started out telling you it's a metabolic disease, a part of your body, could be in the middle of your breast, could be in your lung, your colon, could be in prostate, could be in the brain. It's part of your body has become so toxic with all the bad pollutants that most of us can't avoid because we breathe, and when you breathe, you're taking in pollution. You cannot avoid it on this planet. So if the part of the body happens to get too toxic, it cannot accurately stay fully charged, which is measured by energy called ATP, and it winds up going to a bad form of metabolism, which is without oxygen, and that leaves a signal like an exhaust coming out of your car, and I can measure that in your blood, and if your PHI is elevated, you have cancer somewhere in your body. It doesn't tell me if it's in your lung or your colon or your breast. I don't know where it's in, but I don't need to know because we did the 10-year study that's on my website in Tokyo proving that 10,000 people, 10 years, not one died of cancer. We did this because people came in and had their test every year, and they spent the $400 each year. And if the test got a little abnormal, they said, gee, doc, what am I doing wrong? Well, we said, you went back to smoking. You're not walking the dog around the block anymore. You're not going to bed. You're still not getting 7 hours plus of sleep. You are still drinking. So we can change things, and then you've got to get on the omega-3. You've got to be on the oils. You've got to stop the wrong foods. Sugar is killing our nation.
Yes, it is.
So these are some of the issues.
What do you suggest? I know we actually utilize a lot of your products from your company, too, because of I'm comfortable with giving something to my patient when I know, the history behind it and the nutraceutical.
Thank you.
And I know the purity, and it's so important when you are, you're working, even with my own self, I want to make sure that I'm putting in my body and my family and my grandchildren. And so that's why I trust, and I think you have the best quality products that are out there. So the omega-3, how soon should a person start taking omega-3?
Basically, we're on a planet today that technically we have to have every expectant mother starting it with DHA because it ties to how healthy the child's brain is going to be and how, so that from the moment the child is born, there is a need to be on DHA and EPA. And so the thing is, it used to be in the far distant past that everybody used some cod liver oil, and actually cod liver oil was giving us a lot of these things, thank heavens. And it turns out that what's happened is that because this government chooses to subsidize rotten food so that you have everybody getting corn fructose, every drink is loaded with the corn fructose, which is a sugar, and then they make the corn oil and they make the other oils from the soy oils, and these oils are not meant to be in our bodies, and they're cheap oils, and they wind up so that I have to tell everybody today, please change your oil. If you have a car, you don't drive the same oil for 100,000 miles. Well, what's happened is the oils that they put in our salad dressing and everything like that is not the healthy oil, which is flax oil and olive oil and coconut oil. These are absolutely life-changing healthy oils, but if you still are eating a lot of sugar and you've got a ton of mercury in your mouth and you don't get on a detox product, as good as the healthy oils are, they won't do as much as they could do, but at least you're on the right wavelength. But nothing, in my professional opinion, having practiced 54 years, will replace the need for everybody taking fish oil. There is no way around it. It's going to be a cost of staying alive, and you have to realize we're all pinched today, and none of us have the money that we would like to have, but at the same time, we recognize that more and more the possibility that you're going to be alive at 100 is not a figment of my imagination. We have so many experts telling you today that if you're 70 years of age today, you very likely are going to live to 90 and 100. And if you thought you were going to live that long, you would have taken better care of your body during the lifetime. And the things we are talking about, the good news is that I can state unequivocally on my website, GordonResearch.com, is an article called The End of Cancer is Here. And that was the 10-year study with Dr. Kobayashi in Tokyo. And we use the blood test each year. Now, it's hard to spend your good earned money to find out do I have cancer. That's a nasty. I don't want to know if I have it. Well, that's the problem is this. If I don't do the test, I cannot pat you on the back and tell you you're safe. Or if you're a little unsafe, I can't tell you, oh, you did what I asked you to, and the test went right back in safe ranges. Always the test goes back in safe ranges. But it's hard to do all this. I mean, all of us have to pretend that each day is either Easter or Christmas or a birthday. We all put in food we know we shouldn't eat every day. And all of us say, oh, I'm too busy today. I can't walk around the block. I can't do my exercise. We put these things off. But we can reward you and show your cancer state, and as long as you just do this just once a year, and if it's a little abnormal, don't worry. It simply means you're going to have to do a little more detoxing. You may have to spend some time in a sauna. You may have to learn what Dr. Gordon's high-dose vitamin C is and what his power drink. There are things that anyone can do, but basically, none of us can reach that age 100 and be sharp as a tack unless you do something every day of your life. And at the top of that, you could argue, is omega-3 the most important, or is vitamin C the most important, or vitamin D? But basically, that's why I'm so glad that we have Dr. Lee on the phone, because she studies this and goes to the conferences and can help you choose. Because at my age, having been sick most of my life, most people couldn't take everything I take. It's on my website. I tell everybody what I take, and what I take is pretty much anything you've ever seen that is good for people. And every day I take oral chelation and power drink and zeolite and high-dose C to take bad things out. Most people cannot afford to do what I'm doing, but I have no choice. I was born with bad genes. I was sick most of my life. I had narcolepsy. I could barely stay awake for even in medical school. I was still poisoned with the mercury in my mouth, but I didn't know that. So it's just exciting to tell everybody that no matter how bad you feel today, there's a body inside of you that is waiting to be awakened, but it's a two-edged sword. Get the bad stuff out and put the good stuff in, and so I call it my FIGHT program. And on my website, there's a 2 1-hour separate webinars, part 1, part 2, explaining food, infection, genetics, heavy metal, hormone, toxin. You don't have to remember that. Just remember Dr. Gordon says you must fight for your life.
Yes, exactly. You know, I tell people, Dr. Gordon, especially when I speak at large groups, or a person comes to the clinic and they'll say, well, you know, I don't need to have this test and I don't need to do this. I'm okay so far. And I love when they say that sometimes. Because then I tell them this little story. I say, you know, close your eyes and just follow me through this. And imagine yourself going into a 20-story building, going up to the elevator, going up to the rooftop, and jumping. And when you jump, you're waving at the people as you pass the 19th floor, 18th floor, you know, the 16th floor.
I'm doing okay so far.
And I'm okay so far. You're waving to them. You're on your way down. So when they tell me that, I tell them that story. And I said, now, eventually, where do you think you're going to be?
Well, it's so important for everybody to understand, because I am really involved in the future of medicine.
Yes.
And I can tell people without question that we now have an adapter that can go on your iPhone, and it becomes an EKG for $200. You don't have to go to the emergency room. You just hold this with your 2 fingers or put it over your heart, and it'll tell us instantly if the heart is the problem or if it's indigestion. So we can change people's lives with tests. And the cost of tests is going to come down so dramatically that no one will have an excuse for not knowing that 1 out of 2 people in America today, especially if they're a little overweight, is a pre-diabetic or has metabolic syndrome, which means that even if you think you're eating healthy, you're not getting the full benefit from your foods, because the metabolic syndrome is the epidemic in our country. And more people are realizing that now, I don't want that high fructose corn syrup. Can I find anything in the store that doesn't have fructose? Or more and more people are saying, gee, I now understand that when we were farmers 100 years ago, we were lucky if we ate 12 pounds of sugar a year. Today we're getting 140 pounds of sugar a year. And, of course, we have this epidemic of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Cancer, it turns out, is fed by cancer. Let me make that point very clear. If any of you buy the book or choose to just study the name Thomas Seaford, or go online and study the name Cancer as a Metabolic Disease, or go to Gordon Research, you will find that if you have a friend that's dying of a brain cancer, let's take the recently deceased Senator Kennedy.
Yes.
You would think, being as powerful as a senator, he would know that there's published data that shows that rather than the chemosurgery and radiation that he chose to do in his body, which wasn't a nice way to die,
no.
If he had looked at the data, it actually shows you that exercise alone actually beats the benefit that he got from his wasted radiation, chemo, and surgery. And what's more important, if he had known that right there in Boston is an expert on brain cancer, Thomas Seifert, and Thomas actually has shown that the cancer will stop growing when you do a really serious ketogenic diet, which my friend Bob Adkins was a ketotic diet, but it was just your toe in the water. This is the whole thing. You have to maintain blood sugar. So I'm not making this simple, but I'm telling you the science is there. And I'm hoping to get more people to understand that if you've been diagnosed once with cancer and they tell you after they've done the surgery, I think they got it all, just tell yourself that doctor is not fully informed. If you had a lot of money, buy the $120 book on Amazon, Cancer is a Metabolic Disease, and give it to him and tell him, Doctor, I never want to hear you lie to a patient again. Since cancer is a systemic disease, you cannot have gotten it all because in order to get it all, you'd have to throw my whole body in the wastebasket because my whole body is involved. It is a systemic disease. Whatever you cut out of my body is not the cure of my cancer. So stop talking that way, doctor. Because you're not helping people live.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have a caller. Caller, state your name and your question, and thank you so much in advance for calling in, caller.
Yes, hi. My name is Devonay Unleashed, and I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. Wonderful, beautiful place. The sun is shining, and it's cold out here, but it's a good place. I love what you're talking about. The doctor mentioned something about a technique where they use the phone to check your heart. I guess this is a part of technology out now. My question is to you. The government is planning on using a microchip called the RFD, if I have it right, that will be placed inside of the hand for identifying patients. Is this something that we should have?
Okay, we're all very afraid to have the chip put in our body. And
yes.
I'm not moving that direction. I have very serious reservations. I don't know if we'll be able to stop it, but what I want to teach you is the other side of the coin. I want you to know that for $15 in any bookstore, you can buy a book called The Future of Physics by Michio Kaku. He's the genius of our time that came up with the superstring theory that led to the Higgs boson that proved that there's another kind of physics beyond Newton and beyond Einstein that we now call quantum mechanics. And it's this new physics that allows him in his book to tell you that you are going to live to 100 years or longer because you're going to eventually be able to walk in your bathroom and it's going to tell you that your blood pressure is too high, you're becoming diabetic because it's going to be able to test your breath. You're going to blow into the machine. It'll tell you if you have lung cancer by blowing into the machine. So what I'm telling you is that early diagnosis is going to change everything because right now we all bury our head in the sand and we said, I think I've only fallen down to the 18th floor. I think I'm doing okay. I haven't hit the concrete yet. So everybody says I'm doing okay. The early testing, the test that now cost you $1,000 within 2 years will probably cost you $10 because the game is changing because of Moore's law and computerization. So it is important to recognize that discussing anything about the pros and cons of the chip, because obviously you could argue that if you were unconscious because you were 99% dead in an auto accident, if they could scan your wrist and it instantly told you that you're diabetic, that you're Rh negative, your blood group is A, in a sense that may have saved your life, but all of us certainly don't like government being able to tell us what to do. So, I mean, we don't want to get into that discussion today. But
okay, thank you so very much, Doctor.
Thank you so much for calling, Devonay Unleashed. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
I think someone has emailed a question. Belinda? Now,
what we want to talk about, what for a moment I need to say to everybody that's listening, is that mammograms need to be stopped. The more radiation we give breasts, the more cancer you get.
Before you say that, can I just ask that we do have someone who has emailed a question to want to know if this device, that's $200, how would it be made available? Will it be made available through the clinics? Is it a prescription? Will insurance cover it? Is it ready? Is it available now?
It is available now, and it's been widely talked about on ABC. Just go to Google and put in iPhone EKG attachment. It costs you $199, and it is, and we don't even want to cross the bridge of who's going to pay for things, because that's one of 30 things I would love to tell you about. Things are happening so fast that no one can keep up with it, and we believe what's going to happen is that the things I'm telling you about in the future of medicine that's going to change our lives is going to happen so fast that the cost of healthcare will come down. And yes, we may get these things paid for by insurance, but step number one is to bring down the cost so that people who say to Dr. Lee, I don't think I want to spend I don't want to have a cancer test. I don't have cancer. Nobody in my family has cancer. Well, it's those people that we lose. And so the point that we're making is that if right now it's $400 to test your cancer, but if that comes down to $40, a lot more of you are going to believe Dr. Gordon, because Dr. Gordon is telling you, I can't keep you alive without the tests, because only those of us who know that our test isn't perfect, we all strive. We're competitive people. If I have a bad grade in school, I want to do better. If I do a bad job, I want to do so. Anybody who fails a test, my people always say, gee, I did bad on my EKG, doctor. What do I have to do to pass it? I want to have a perfect card. I want to do better on every. So that's the nature of the thing, is that tests motivate us to say, I can give up sugar for a whole month. There won't be any sugar going in my body. If I have to learn a whole new way of dieting, I will do it because I want to be healthy.
Yes.
And so that's the power of test.
Yes. And I think it's fine. And I want to thank Glenda, who sent us this message. She emailed it from Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Glenda. That was very good to know where. And now we know it's the iPhone. I guess I'm going to have to upgrade my phone.
No, I'm sure it'll be available for all the other phones within another couple of months. Nobody goes to trouble to make that just for one phone.
Good.
But this is the beginning of the game, because it's going to get to the point that with your phone there'll be an attachment and you'll blow into it, and it'll tell you whether or not you have diabetes or whether or not you're rusting. Just think, very simple. All of us are rusting away at a certain rate. If you look at a railroad track, it's rusting. You just can't see it. It's doing it slow. But, over time it's going to totally break down, right? Well, your body is rusting too. How do we know that? Well, because none of you take as many antioxidants as I do. I take 10 grams of vitamin C a day. Most people aren't going to spend their money on that. But if I measure your air coming out of your lungs and put it in a simple little device, it tells me immediately how fast you are breaking down your body, because the membranes of every cell in your body are made out of fat. And when fat gets attacked by free radicals, so it starts to break down into lipid peroxides, there are things called malondialdehyde, forget the name, MDA, will be in your air. And if you have a high level, you're going to be dead much too soon. Or I can wind up taking a blood test on you and find out how long you're going to live, because we can now measure your telomeres. And if your telomeres are very short, you're going to have a short life. But you can learn how to take vitamin D, omega-3, do the exercise, and I can change it so that you will live longer, because I can make your telomeres longer. So there isn't anything we can't do to change your life And so it is turning out that things like thermography will totally replace mammograms safely, doing no damage to your body. And when we take a picture of your breast, if there's a hot spot on the breast, something hot means there's something going on.
Exactly.
Did you get bit by a bee or a spider, or is it something growing too fast like a tumor? So the point is that we can look at things and say, oh, well, this isn't 100% normal. Let's try some iodine. Let's change your diet for a while. Let's make sure. So the point is that tests allow us to take changes in what we're doing and maybe do a little more detoxification, because I, being the father of IV chelation, that's the treatment that has avoided heart surgery for all of my patients for over 20 years. No one has ever had to have bypass surgery. I don't even put stents in any of my patients, but that's because I understand what I'm doing, having practiced medicine 54 years. But the point is that knowledge is power.
Yes, it is.
But you're powerless unless you do some of these tests on yourself. And the price of computers coming down so fast is going to enable everyone listening to me. Right now, $400 may be impossible for you to think about, but stay tuned, because the cancer tests are going to come to your front door, and the price is going to come down, and you're going to say, I'm not afraid to do that test, because if I don't do the test, how will I know that I am not getting into trouble, and I might have a gene that doesn't absorb vitamin D, and maybe I need more than anybody else. I mean, there's all these things that are happening, and the cost of gene testing is coming down. So we are living in exciting times that when you realize that the front page of the paper last week was that all of the societies on Earth, everybody has stopped having babies. They're very afraid that there isn't going to be anybody to do the work. And so then you sit there and say, well, there's going to be a lot of us old folks. I'm 78, going to be a lot of old folks. Well, that's not going to be so bad, because if you're at 78 and you're the healthiest you've been in your life, it means that it's possible that if we're living longer, we can still be more productive. So even though you'd say, oh, the world can't feed all of us, there's not enough water for all of us, there's a book written by the president, founder of the school called Singularity University. The book is called Abundance, and it will tell you that we can feed everybody on the planet without any question. We just go from what we would call normal farming to vertical farming, and we raise food like the hanging gardens of Babylon. So there's answers to everything, and we have the answer to make the bad water clean again. The energy is coming. I mean, there's good times ahead. Even though we look like we're going through bad times, we are. But try to be aware that there's a promising future out there in which everybody can actually feel as good as I do. I had to wait till age 78 to get all this put together, because I learned about how a magnet would help my body utilize the nutrients. Because remember, there's two sides of it. We have people taking every day the vitamin D, because we know we all need more vitamin D. It will cut down colon cancer and all these things. So
yes,
you take your 5,000 units, and not everybody is still fully protected, because we have managed to poison our bodies so much. And you remember we tried in California to get it so they would label the food and tell us what's genetically modified.
Oh, yes, I was part of that campaign.
Well, but it's that the fight's not over, because they're raising the same fight for Oregon, Washington, New Mexico. That Monsanto is going to. We're going to get them in the long run. We're going to get people aware that this genetically modified food helps you become sensitive to wheat. That's why everybody walks in the store and says, "Oh my God, I can't have gluten." Well, we never used to be afraid of gluten. What's happened?
Exactly.
I mean, what's happened is we poisoned our planet with stupid things.
Yes.
And when they put the pesticide in the food, when it's genetically modified, it really means that they put in the corn or the wheat or the soy, they put in a substance called BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a pesticide. So you're eating food and getting a pesticide. Well, that might not be too good, because the year after they introduced genetically modified food, we had 40% more children developed asthma. So try to understand that we're telling you today that the answer to avoiding asthma and hyperactivity in your kids, in you getting cancer and heart disease, is tied to diet and lifestyle, and that's why you need to listen to Dr. Lee's program regularly to try to understand that she goes to meetings like I do, and we're going to have a meeting in Long Beach at the Hilton Hotel on February 22nd and 23rd with some outstanding speakers, 2 whole days trying to bring people up to speed on most of what you think you know about diet and food and drugs. We don't use statins anymore if you're part of our group.
No, absolutely not.
But people can't get this information overnight. And so it's a real job, and so I am so glad that people like Dr. Lee are willing to have these radio programs and share what she learns with a bigger audience, because we can't get it all in single visits when we see you in the office.
Exactly. Exactly. And I just want to say, let people know, because a lot of people are listening in, your vitamin D, your EFA, they're not all created equally. So you listen to the show, and you might say, oh, I'll leave work today, and I'll pick up some EFAs. They're not all created equally. So where you purchase your supplements, you want to be very clear. So I think that we should be very clear as to where they're coming from and purchase them from the clinic here, because we use Dr. Gordon's, or you go to his website, because you want the best quality product possible. You don't just go out there and start buying products because we're talking about vitamin D and vitamin E. And also with the vitamin D, blood tests to me are very important, to do your blood test to see where you are initially before you start taking vitamin D. Because I have never tested anyone that was in a normal range. No one.
Exactly. Well, it's almost impossible with all the things happening to us today. And so if we look at what we did with vitamin C, is we now offer to our patients that they can buy 50 tests for $10, and that way they can test themselves and their loved ones. And what are you testing? I'm testing how much vitamin C is in your urine, not the pH. It's interesting to know the pH of your urine and saliva and blood, but I'm testing the vitamin C in your urine. Now, this is a simple test. If there's no vitamin C in your urine, you are not carrying any toxins out of the body. So listen carefully. If you think, as Otto Warburg, who got the Nobel Prize for determining what cancer was due to, namely toxins, if you think that toxins are going to leave your body, they don't leave your body unless there's something to carry them out. And vitamin C is a chelating agent, and it helps the lead and the other bad things leave your body. So if I have you simply wet a little strip the size of a wooden match, and the end of the match has a green color on it. If it stays green, you have a dark future because there's no C. You have no what we call electrons to balance out the bad oxidants, which is the toxins, the fluorine and the mercury and the bisphenol A and the everybody is loaded with toxins. So if I can keep you with enough vitamin C all the time, so what's enough? Well, very simple. We have fixed the strip so that when you wet it with your urine, if it goes to a yellow color, it means that you will have a bright future, because it means that you have as much vitamin C as we can get to go from your stomach to your bloodstream to your kidney. So in other words, by having the right C, which we happen to call bioenergy C, we had to make it able to be a delivery system. So because I love IV vitamin C, and then so does Dr. Lee, but not all of us can have an IV vitamin C every day.
Exactly.
So we had to get something as close to that as we can. So we made bioenergy C, and how did we do? We added MSM, that's methylsphenoxamine, TMG, trimethylglycine, ribose, a very amazing special kind of 5-carbon sugar, and put in the essential sugars from aloe vera, and we put that in this product. So when you take a heaping teaspoon of this, you get 4,000 milligrams, and that's what I take twice a day. But why do we know it's different? Very simple. 4,000 milligrams of the cheap vitamin C that you buy elsewhere will cause you to have diarrhea and a stomach that hurts, and you'll stop taking it. But worse than that, no matter where you get it, nobody else can get it to be so well absorbed as to get that stick test to stay at the yellow color. What does that mean? In order to have a bright future,
the
yellow color means that you're pouring out vitamin C in your urine, and you're not wasting it. When it goes out in your urine, it's a donkey, and it's carrying bad stuff out of your body. So it's very simple. To have a bright future, you have to be urinating out vitamin C morning, noon, and night. In order to do that, that means you have to remember to take it. means you have to buy it. It has to be something that doesn't upset your stomach, so you continue taking it, because this is a lifetime program, because the need for detoxification never stops. And vitamin C is one way of detoxing. Of course, I have fiber and greens and zeolite and other things which we won't go into. It's a little complicated because I deal with people who come to me who are so toxic that they've been given a diagnosis of an autoimmune disease, and they've been told that they're going to have to live on some crazy, expensive drug. We take people off of drugs all the time because we treat causes, and that's why Dr. Lee is such an outstanding healer, because she understands and takes the time to go to conferences and sees how difficult it is to know which person is being sick because their house has a mold, which person is being sick because they have a leaky gas stove at home, which person is eating so much fish they didn't realize is loaded with mercury, and you look in their mouth, they got 9 big fillings in their mouth, and it's not too hard to start to figure out who's going to have mercury poisoning. But the problem is, the truth is, if you read the 10 American study, you Google that word, 10 Americans, and you see every baby born in America actually was used as a wastebasket by the mother's body. Repeat, the mother's body in nature is more important than the baby, so the mother's body downloads the lead, so when you are born, you have in your bones, as an infant, tiny 1-hour-old baby, your bones have 1,000 times more lead than the bones in any child bones from 600-700 years ago. In other words, we've really poisoned the earth, which is simple. Now, amazing enough, we still live a long time, but now the Alzheimer's Foundation says at 85 years of age, 1 out of 2 will be in the old folks home. Well, that's not the answer. I can't have you in the old folks home. I'm here to tell you at age 85, I want you to be a productive member of society. At age 78, I'm doing more productive stuff than I did at 58 or 48 or 38, because I know more, and so I value the fact that as we all age, we know more. We're valuable, but you're not valuable if you can't get out of the car, and you're not valuable if you can't find the bathroom. So I have to have people learn how to take care of the body, and that means where's your owner's manual?
Yes.
And so the owner's manual starts out with what we're trying to share with you. That is, you were not designed to use this stupid food that America is being poisoned by. So you're going to have to meet a farmer, and we're going to have to find a place that you can get some organic food. You're going to have to actually change our eating habits so that vegetables go to the top of the list, and that you can start to eat foods that you can't spell, like quinoa, or triticale or amaranth. If you can't spell it, it probably is going to be good for you. Rutabaga. Anything that you haven't eaten in a year is pretty safe. It's what we eat daily that our body gets sensitive to, and then you see these big aisles in the store, gluten-free. Well, that's not helping those people. Those people have got not just a sensitivity to gluten. They have a leaky gut. They have to be on a probiotic. They have to be on a fiber, and they have to be on exercise. Health is not your God-given right. You have to work for it, and that requires knowledge, and knowledge is power. And part of what I did on my website when I developed my FIGHT program, FIGHT stood for food, infection, genetics, heavy metals, hormones, toxins. If you know anybody that has in their family breast cancer and they're thinking of cutting off both their breasts because they never want to have that, tell them that's nonsense. I don't care if everybody in your family died of breast cancer. You will not get breast cancer if I teach you the simple things that we have developed. We have a natural alternative to taking estrogen called Herbal Remedy from Thailand. That's HRT. And that alone has virtually stopped breast cancer and stopped Alzheimer's and made the vagina stay young, so that at age 75, women who've been unable to have intercourse for 10 years, it all comes back, and we provably are in regenerative medicine today.
Well, Dr. Gordon, that should make my grandfather happy. He's 99, and he informed us that he's getting married again.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Well, I have to tell you that in regenerative medicine, in case your audience hasn't heard it, there is a Center for Regenerative Medicine at the University of Pittsburgh called the McGowan Center of Dr. Metabolic, and he's the guy that totally restored the quadricep muscle on an Afghan vet whose leg was blown off, and he restored that muscle using cryptic peptides. And it's been front page story in the New York Times. Most people didn't pick up on it, and I need to tell you an even more exciting story. Harvard Medical School did a study, and it was done in November of 2011. And I teach people about it, but people still can't believe it. They took a mouse that was within a week of death, and so they had a whole group of these old mice, gray. They didn't know where they were. They sacrificed a couple of them so they could show you there was no cells left in their testicle. Their kidneys were about, the brain was about gone. And guess what? They regenerated the mice. They made them young again. Do you hearing me? I'm Dr. Garry Gordon, and I'm telling you that you live in a day and age that not only did we replace this guy's leg, his own body regrew the quadricep, but I'm telling you, we've taken an old mouse and made it young, and the testicle filled up with cells again, and the brain came back to functioning. Wouldn't you like to know how they did that? How did Harvard do that? Well, it was pretty simple. It was an estrogen receptor modulator. We have a big name for it. They used a synthetic one because they didn't want you treating yourself. So the synthetic one is called tamoxifen. Tamoxifen, Dr. Lee will tell you, is used in our country for women who've had breast cancer because they were estrogen receptor positive and they didn't want the breast cancer coming back. And so this country is being used as a drug, and it has side effects.
Right. You know, before you go into that, definitely I know a couple people who I couldn't talk them out of not doing it. But anyway, how long did it take them to regenerate the leg? This is a question about Jamal.
That's virtually overnight, and I would like you, Dr. Badylak, Badylak, is too busy for you ever to hope to even possibly talk to him because he's being funded by the Department of Defense to the tune of millions of dollars because we blow off so many men's legs, and he's telling you that if you listen to what just you can go on the website and you can search under the name Dr. Badylak, Badylak, or put in McGowan, McGowan, Center for Regenerative Medicine, and just pull it up. And the thing is, what you need to know is it was an almost overnight, was because of some, it's a little technical how it's being done, but the point is this.
Overnight. That is amazing.
Have you heard of the 3D printer?
3D, yes,
Okay, well, the 3D printer is allowing us to do what? We can make your own trachea for you and your own your own ear for you. You're hearing about these things, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the thing is that when you
what our listening people are probably audience or not.
And so what Dr. Badylak is telling you is he's going to turn you into a salamander. Salamander does what? You tear off its front leg, it just regrows the leg. Period. The end of sentence. Nothing else to talk about.
My.
And he says that's what we're going to be doing with humans because the point is cryptic peptides, which happen to be amazing story. And in fact, the New York Times, when you read up on cryptic, CRYPTIC, peptides, you understand that these are absolutely otherwise known as cryptines, CRYPTEINS. Cryptines actually cause your own body to make its own stem cells. You don't have to write a check out, fly to China, and give a check for $25,000. Somebody, your body makes it itself. And this story is pretty amazing, and they tell you, actually, in the New York Times, they told you how it's done. You get pig bladder, and you take away the cells and remain just the extracellular matrix of pig bladder is where you find this. But anyhow, I'm just trying to have your audience understand that if you send somebody to listen to the work being done by Dr. Kraft, Kraft, he's at the Singularity University, and he was just on an economist panel on the future of medicine. And he's one of the top people that can explain to you that what I'm trying to get the message across is that technology is going to make most of today's medicine to be seen overnight as actually quackery. In other words, this idea that you cut the woman's breasts off and take out her ovaries because she has BRCA1 disease is pure quackery. And most of what we're doing today is all going to go down. Giving people statins is giving the world an epidemic of people whose brains are not going to work because
exactly.
I mean,
and statin, I just want to explain to people your statin drugs or your cholesterol-lowering medications. And now they come up with so many of them, and people say, well, no, I'm not taking a statin drug. Oh, it totally destroyed my uncle here. And I kept looking at him. I'd seen him for a while. I'm like, your muscle mass is gone. He's walking hunched over, and he just looked very ill. He almost looked like a person who had, like, all his joints are fusing together. And he said, I'm not taking any medications for cholesterol. I said, let me see a list of your medications. And when he showed it to me, okay, it wasn't Lipitor, so he didn't think he was taking a statin drug.
It is so sad because you're giving the world a deficiency. What happens is the LDL they lower is actually a building block for the steroid chemistry of your body, like progesterone, and progesterone is totally tied to brain-derived neurotrophic factor, so you're setting the stage for your body not making new brain cells. And so the point being that I, at age 78, my brain is working far better than it did at 58 or 48, so I'm trying to get the point across. You can't do these stupid drugs. They all have side effects. And so I teach people that I take people off drugs, but I do so because I treat the causes, and I'm going to go slow. The cause is everybody listening to me is eating one or more foods that they're sensitive to. That's easy because you've been getting genetically modified food.
Yes.
And the Bacillus thuringiensis has torn up your intestine, making it leaky. So whatever food you get, I don't care if it's the healthiest food on the planet, you get sensitive to it unless I rebuild your gut, which is why I have everybody on zeolite orally every day. Everybody has to be on a probiotic. I have everybody on fiber. I have them in the greens. This is a lot to it. I don't want to belabor the point. I want to give a message of hope, and hope that some of your patients start making some simple changes. Take the omega-3, get on the vitamin C, learn about the herbal remedy from Thailand. Let me tell you, the herbal remedy from Thailand is the most neuroprotective, totally safe substance, and we started talking about tamoxifen.
Yes.
And tamoxifen is, I have proven, working with the dean of the medical school of the Army Hospital in Bangkok, he's an MD, PhD, we have proven that the HRT that Dr. Lee can make sure that you get, and you can start at any age, and I as a man take it twice a day, and all my women patients on it twice a day, and if you're still menstruating, you take it and stop it only for the week you're having a menses, and if you're postmenopause, you take it every day of your life. But the point was this: you cannot avoid the fact that living in this country, you are loaded with bisphenol A. Everybody fails the test. The government is public. Just pull up bisphenol A on Google. There's no question. You have it. Dr. Lee doesn't even have to send your urine out to prove it. But if you like to be stubborn, fine. For $4,900, you can measure bisphenol A and the dioxin and the polybrominated diphenyl ether, the flame retardant, and everything else in your body for a lousy $4,900 that your insurance will not pay for. But since even Bill Moyer on television has not been able to pass the test, and he's lived 100% organically since he took Nixon to China. He came home, and he's been an organic freak ever since, but you still have to breathe air. And if you breathe air, you're still taking in toxins, so he looks about as bad, but there's an advantage to the organic. He's still sharp. In the organic, yes, there's a benefit, so we have to go organic, but you have to, don't think that just because you are not eating stupid food that you don't need to get the lead out of your body, because Harvard Medical School published the paper in the Journal of the AMA proving the level of lead in your bone determines how soon you go blind with a cataract. And a cataract is the most common operation in America. So what is that tied to? Well, it's tied to how much lead is in your body, and you were born with lead poisoning, and so do you want to spend money to a doctor and say, well, I'm going to do your hair, your blood, I'm going to do a urine test? You don't need to spend the money. Just look at the data. The day you were born, according to Caltech, Claire Patterson proved that you were born with 1,000 times too much lead in your bones. Harvard went to the trouble to prove that that level of lead in your bone determines how soon you'll die of a heart attack and how soon you'll go blind with cataract. So let's just tie up the lead. You can never avoid it all, but enough vitamin C is helping push it out. And
yes,
then I have everybody on oral chelation and zeolite, so I can keep you alive even if you are living on a poisoned planet, and even if you are like I was born with bad genes. So the point is that lots of us have people in our family. Some of us, everybody in our family has cancer, or everybody in our family dies young of heart disease. None of my patients embarrass me by dying of a heart attack. They simply take Beyond Chelation, improve the oral 9-pill package twice a day, and no one ever has died of a heart attack or a fatal stroke in 20 plus years. So I'm pretty confident that we have answers that you are not going to hear about because they are A, not drugs, and B, therefore not covered by insurance. And it's the same way with the herbal remedy from Thailand. If I have you search on the website and you put in aged mouse plus Harvard, or just say Harvard aged mouse, just look at what you're going to read and learn about this exciting story. Because I am telling you that this is the tip of the iceberg. The HRT that I take twice a day, because it stops women's breast cancer, it stops you from getting Alzheimer's, it stops bone loss, and it helps keep your arteries nice and soft, is actually in this research working at the working on your body at what we call the receptor site. So it gives you the benefits of estrogen without the risk. In other words, every woman knew that if I could take estrogen, I wouldn't have to have the hot flashes, I wouldn't have to stop making love to my husband.
And Dr. Gordon, I don't want to cut you off. We're down to probably 30 seconds left for the show. Okay. I just want to say that please give out the address again for the weekend of the 21st and 22nd for the seminar. This is open to the public, and it's also open to the doctors.
The Hilton Hotel in Long Beach.
In Long Beach. And please, if you have any questions, you can call me here call Dr. Lee at 310-419-4300. I just want to say the zeolite and the vitamin C, I do make up those cocktails here in the clinic, and it's amazing how much better a person will start feeling right away. And they call me the cocktail lady because I love making the drinks.
Well, that's because we don't absorb things. So without doing some things intravenously, you don't. Until you start feeling good, you won't believe how good you can feel. So
exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Leaf, for doing IVs. We can't keep people alive feeling as good as we do because we do not absorb things so well. So thank you for your work, Dr. Lee. It's been my pleasure to be with you today.
You're such a blessing, and we have to have you back again. You're just a walking encyclopedia, and I thank you so much. Thank you so much, Belinda Foster, my co-host of the Cherilyn Lee Health Show, and join us next week from 11:30 to 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I hope this show has been a blessing to you. Please give us a call. Please go to Dr. Gordon's website, and help you, help your family. We have to help each other because the world, we're in trouble.